Hello, everyone, and thanks for watching tonight. I'm Teresa Woodard. We are beginning this newscast with breaking news. It is happening in the city of Allen right now. There has been a shooting at the Allen Premium Outlets. That is a well-known shopping mall. The mall is on West Stacy Road. It's just off Highway 75. Right now, police continue to ask everyone to avoid that area. We know the FBI is en route, the ATF as well. There has been a massive police response to this scene. We want to take a live look from HD Chopper 8 over scene right now. Now, the Collin County Sheriff just told WFAA's Rebecca Lopez there are multiple victims. He also told Rebecca that a suspected shooter is dead there on the scene. This is a breaking situation. It began about 90 minutes ago, around 3:40 or so. WFAA's Stacia Wilson arrived on scene just before 5 p.m. We're going to go to her live now. Stacia, we know things are quickly evolving. They always do in situations like this, but tell us what you see and what you know at this moment. Stacia.
Well, Teresa, good evening. We have seen hundreds of people being evacuated from this area. Standing behind me, you can see they're just watching as this situation unfolds. As you mentioned, multiple victims involved in this shooting. We know some of those victims are children, according to police. We do not know if any of those people who were shot, if any of those injuries were fatal. We know a number of people have been transported to the hospital. We've seen more than one emergency unit, first responder unit, that is big enough, basically a bus, to carry multiple people back to the hospital. As you mentioned before, we did get here shortly before 5, but the report first came in around 3:40 this afternoon. I've been talking with folks out here. They've heard dozens of gunshots. People who were coming out to the street, who were inside, were visibly shaken. I spoke with one woman. Her husband worked at Fat Burger, and she was so upset because he was still inside, and she didn't know what was going on, and she's still waiting for him to come out. We know the city of Allen, City Hall posted a public safety alert for the city of Allen. Multiple law enforcement agencies, including Frisco, Plano, McKinney, as well as ATF, are here on the scene. An active investigation is underway. The shopping mall is surrounded by law enforcement and first responders. Traffic in this area is a nightmare. I talked to another woman who was outside H&M in the parking lot, had not even gotten out of her vehicle. They asked her to get out and literally just leave the area, go across the street. So they have been evacuating people in droves, and it is still going on. We've been seeing a number of officers run through this area. As you can see, you have choppers in the air. Ambulances from neighboring cities have also been called in to transport victims. And again, as the situation unfolds, we're going to let you know everything that develops. But information is preliminary at this time. We're still learning about this situation. We just know there are a number of people out here with us who are visibly shaken and scared about what happened, understandably so. Teresa?
Stacia, tell us what people are telling you about what they went through, hearing the shots. Did you talk to people who had to hide inside of stores? What all are the kind of stories that they're relaying to you?
Well, I think at first it obviously caught people by surprise. They heard the shots and they didn't think at first it was anything to be afraid of. They didn't believe it was actually from a firearm. And then once they discovered, no, this is a serious situation, they were terrified. But I think that initial shock, people just kind of paused at first. They said they didn't know what to do. And then they crouched down and hid in the stores. And literally just, the seconds seemed to take so much longer because they were terrified. And a number of people, as you can see, have been evacuated and are standing out here with me. But no one's leaving. Everyone is just waiting to either go back to their vehicle, try to leave the area. But at this point, they're just standing across the street. Obviously, again, as I mentioned before, they're visibly shaken, a number of them, but glad to be out here and be safe.
Oh, Stacia, I can just imagine this is everyone's worst nightmare. I mean, it's a Saturday afternoon. You know, the mall was a busy place, and you can just imagine the folks who were separated maybe from their child who was shopping at another side. I can only imagine the kind of stories you're hearing from people out there. Tell us a little bit more about, you mentioned so many emergency personnel there and large equipment there on the scene. Have you seen ambulances taking people away? Have you seen that big bus you described leaving the scene?
We've seen that bus circle around a couple of times. It was from Frisco. It was a Frisco emergency responder, an ambulance, as you mentioned, the size of a bus. It drove through here a couple of times. I have not seen it leave the area, but it's not the only one. You obviously have a number of first responders. I'm looking at Allen. Right now I'm looking at fire and rescue from Plano. And it's not just one vehicle per agency, obviously multiple vehicles. So that just kind of can paint the picture of what you're dealing with out here. And really, I think it's just a stressful situation as we we told you that shooter, we know that PD has taken care of the shooter, not an imminent threat anymore. But it's scary because people can't leave. They can't go home. As you mentioned, that there's some people who are still possibly looking for loved ones that were at a different store. So I think right now it's a wait and see situation as these families are able to come together, make sure that everyone is outside and safe. And it'll be something that develops as the evening progresses, but it is still a very active scene, even though the shooter has been taken care of. Teresa?
All right, Stacia, we appreciate your live coverage for us there on the scene. I just want to recap a little bit for everyone exactly what we understand has happened. It was around 3:40 this afternoon when we did get reports of a shooting at Allen Premium Outlets there in the city of Allen. We know police responded very quickly. We immediately know that the outlet mall went into lockdown. We know people were hiding inside of stores. And as of right now, we've heard from the Collin County Sheriff. He's told our Rebecca Lopez that there are multiple victims. He has also told Rebecca Lopez that the suspected shooter is deceased there on the scene. You are looking at video from a little earlier this evening there on the scene of people streaming out of those stores where presumably they had taken shelter when these shots were fired. You have also seen some video throughout this newscast of just a massive line of ambulances lined up there ready to take potential victims to safety.